The most expensive Incoterms mistake starts with the wrong question: which quote sounds cheapest? FOB, CIF and DDP are not three shipping price bundles. They are allocation rules for delivery, risk, selected costs, and formalities. Put the same industrial fan shipment under three rules, and the physical journey may look similar while the contractual handoffs are completely different. This video uses Incoterms 2020 for education, not transaction-specific legal, customs, tax or insurance advice. Write the rule like a coordinate, not a slogan. A usable contract entry names the rule, the exact port, place, or point, and the addition. For example, FOB a specified loading point at a named port of shipment, Incoterms 2020. FOB China, CIF your country, or DDP door leaves the critical handoff blurry. The named point is where your cost and risk map becomes auditable. Separate 5 lanes before comparing any quote. Lane 1 is delivery under the rule. Lane 2 is risk of loss or damage. Lane 3 is who contracts carriage. Lane 4 is which costs sit in the price. Lane 5 is export and import clearance. These lanes can split. Under a C rule, for example, the seller may pay main carriage after risk has already transferred to the buyer. Paying freight is not the same as carrying transit risk. FOB means an onboard handoff. Under FOB a named port of shipment, Incoterms 2020, the seller delivers when the goods are on board the vessel nominated by the buyer at that port, risk transfers there. The buyer normally contracts main carriage, while the seller handles export clearance where applicable. FOB is only for sea or inland waterway transport. If a container is handed to a carrier at a terminal before it is on board, ICC says to consider FCA instead. Do not let a warehouse or forklift shot impersonate the legal handoff. CIF has 2 different ports and 2 different ideas. The seller delivers and risk transfers when the goods are on board at shipment, yet the seller contracts and pays carriage to the named destination port. CIF also requires the seller to arrange insurance for the buyer's transit risk, but the default is limited cover comparable to Institute Cargo Clauses C, not automatic all-risk protection. The official rule specifies at least 110% of the contract price in the contract currency, unless the parties agree otherwise. CIF is maritime only, and the buyer handles import clearance and related duties where applicable. DDP moves the risk line to the named destination point. Under DDP an exact named place and point, Incoterms 2020, the seller delivers when import cleared goods are at the buyer's disposal on the arriving means of transport, ready for unloading. The seller bears risk to that point and handles export and import formalities, duties, and applicable taxes. The buyer normally unloads. DDP does not itself require the seller to buy insurance. It also is not automatically feasible. Local importer of record, registration, tax, product compliance, or customs rules may block a foreign seller. Now map the real container workflow before choosing a rule. A fan may move from factory to truck, export terminal, vessel, destination terminal, and inland delivery. Ask where the seller can physically and legally hand goods to the carrier, and where each party can control documents and exceptions. For containerized or multimodal movement, FCA, CPT, or CIP may fit the operational handoff better than forcing an onboard FOB or CIF story. The rule must follow the real process, not a familiar abbreviation. Build a cost stack instead of asking for one all-in number. Separate product price, origin pickup and terminal charges, export formalities, main carriage, insurance, destination handling, import clearance, duties and taxes, inland delivery, unloading, storage, demurrage, detention and exceptional inspections. Then mark each item as included, excluded, estimated, reimbursable or buyer direct. An Incoterms rule allocates defined categories. It does not freeze every carrier or government charge. Compare quotations only after normalizing the assumptions. Hold product model, configuration, quantity, packaging, shipment mode, exact named point, target window, and evidence requirements constant. For each offer, record the delivery point, risk point, carriage contractor, insurance scope, import party, and exclusions. A lower CIF price with narrow insurance or undefined destination charges may not be a better commercial result. A higher DDP number may still be unusable if the seller cannot legally clear import. Incoterms do not complete the sales contract. They do not, by themselves, settle payment timing, title or ownership, product specification, acceptance criteria, warranty, intellectual property, force majeure, governing law, dispute resolution or remedies. These terms need their own clauses and must agree with the chosen delivery rule. A precise risk line cannot rescue an ambiguous product requirement or payment trigger. Send suppliers a structured route brief, not just 3 letters. Include the exact fan model and quantity, packaging and marking requirements, origin and destination points, transport mode, container or terminal workflow, requested rule and addition, target dates, insurance level, customs party, required documents and a line-by-line exclusion list. Ask the freight forwarder, customs broker, insurer and qualified advisors to validate the parts they own. This is how a quote becomes comparable rather than merely short. The practical conclusion is simple. Name the point, split the lanes, and test feasibility. FOB can place delivery and risk on board at shipment. CIF can keep that same early risk point while the seller pays freight and limited insurance to destination. DDP can keep seller risk to an import cleared named destination, ready for unloading. None is universally best. After your route and contract are complete, request a 3-column quote comparison with the exact named point, Incoterms 2020 edition, evidence and exclusions.